and we've had challenges for eons, and we've made a lot of strides from the video we watched. That we started from somewhere. We have come a long way in terms of achievement and bridging the gaps and all that, but then there is still a long way to go. A long way to go, because when we hear inclusion, the very first thing that comes to mind is adding on. And because in some spaces where there is gender discrimination, or there is race discrimination, or disability or ability discrimination, the moment we add on, we assume that we have achieved or we have solved the problem. So that is why on the surface, sometimes it may look as though inclusion is not an issue, or that we do not have discrimination, but we do. We do in the area that when we just simply add on without creating an enabling environment for the marginalized that we've added on to thrive, then even though we've added them into the space that they did not used to exist in, we haven't empowered them or equipped them to actually succeed there. So we have added them on, but we haven't included them. So to me, inclusion goes beyond adding on. So for instance, if we are working in an environment that is male dominated, and we just bring in 5 women to add on, we haven't included gender, or we haven't included women. We've only added 5 women. If we have not given them the voice, the voting power, and the abilities, all the abilities that the men have to make impact or to influence decision, then we've just added them on. We have not included them. So by inclusion, let me define inclusion now, since I have said that adding on is not inclusion. What inclusion is first of all, realizing that discrimination is a reality. We have gender discrimination, we have ability discrimination, we have race discrimination, and if we come to Africa, limiting it to our homes, we have ethnic discrimination, and sometimes we even have tribal discrimination. And all these affect women in diverse ways, in business, in getting involved in decision making, in everything. These discriminations I have listed affect us. So we need to first of all realize that discrimination exists, regardless of how far we have come. We have not solved it totally. It exists. Second, we need to acknowledge that privileges do exist. Some have privilege per their gender. So if we are talking about women and men, then more men have privileges than women do. For instance, my male counterpart has a privilege when he is deciding to just pack a bag and travel to Dubai tomorrow on a business trip. My time to travel, I have to think about who takes care of the kids, what would they eat while I'm not there. So I do not have that privilege he has to simply just get up and pack a bag and jump at an opportunity. And that's because of a discrimination from our culture, where we have placed the burden of care on women, much more on women. So because of that, I do not have that privilege to jump at an opportunity that's coming at me this afternoon and expecting me to be on a flight at the evening and arrive in Dubai tomorrow. But my male counterpart has that privilege. Being aware and acknowledging that privilege imparts how we practice inclusion. Then the next one will be the I, which is invest. If you add me into a boardroom without the infrastructure needed to exist there, you have added me, you haven't included me. For instance, if we choose to include women with a disability, let's choose blindness, into a space, and we haven't provided a braille or facilities that will make them read the document before they make a comment. We haven't if we included someone with a hearing disability, we haven't included or provided hearing aid in the facility that makes them make impact. Then we have added them, we haven't included them. So we need to invest in infrastructure. If you include a woman who is in a wheelchair, your environment should be friendly for her to move about in her state and still make impact. With that, if you invest, it means that you have included and empowered, which takes me to the empowerment. We need to empower. If you put me in the room and I don't have a voting right, and then you brag, oh, we've added 2 more women. In our boardroom, we have 4 women. Are these 4 women, do they have voting rights? When it comes to voting on a critical issue, do they have the equal voting power the men in the room have? If they do not, you have included, you have included. You have added on, not included. And my final one is taking space. From the video, we realized that the women who took the space ahead of us, which led to the Beijing conference, which led to today's discussion, took space. They did not wait to be included or to be given the space. I equally acknowledge as privilege that there are places that we need to wait to be given the space, but there are equally places that we need to take the space. So I would say that inclusion means, to those of us who feel marginalized, it equally means to us that we need to take space. And by that, I will conclude by saying that inclusion is a two-way affair. The person who is marginalized need to take space in areas that they have the power to, or they have the ability to influence taking space. And then to those who are at a privilege and have the responsibility to create the environment and do the realizing, the acknowledging, the investing and empowering. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I answered your question.
Yes, you definitely answered. In fact, you surpassed the marks.